What general perceptions do we have as humans that we can change? We can alter our perceptions of who we are and what our purpose is in life. We can do something we have never done before as a human species. We can build a universal model which uses what we have today to explain our significance in reality and our significance in eternity. Isn't this forming a new religion? No, this is philosophy. Wouldn't this destroy my religious beliefs, my faith in God? No, it might modify them somewhat, but it does not destroy them. Doesn't this philosophy require me to change my faith? We are not talking about changing your faith. We are talking about changing what it is you think you are. We are talking about a perceptual change in terms of what we perceive human beings to be. You are a member of the human species. We're talking about defining what that means. If you look at the human race, and like everything you see, there is no need to change anything. But this would imply we do not need to grow in terms of our perceptions of what we are. The idea of remaining the same, not growing, goes against our basic instincts as a species. We have always reached out to expand our knowledge base, our perceptions of the causative force, and the limits of our world. To refuse to do so now would go against everything we have been attempting to understand. What perceptual change would create a perceptual shift in the way we look at ourselves and humankind in general? We presently look at ourselves as needing a causative force, or God. In fact, the national motto of the United States is, "In God we trust." Added for emphasis, if we add to this the idea that the causative force also needs us, we begin to see ourselves as having a purpose. We begin to see ourselves as having a responsibility to the causative force herself. In other words, we would see ourselves in a close interdependent relationship with the causative force, a symbiotic relationship. The degree of symbiosis is debatable. Secondly, we, for the most part, acknowledge the causative force's omnipresence, but many theisms reject the universe being inside the causative force. If we continue accepting the omnipresence of the causative force, but add the idea of our universe existing within the causative force, then you have the basic concept of panentheism as compared to theism. What does symbiotic panentheism mean? Symbiotic is defined as a close, prolonged association between two or more different organisms of different species that may, but does not necessarily benefit each member. Panentheism means all in God. Pan is Greek meaning all, and means in. This comes from theo and means God, and ism means action, process, practice. The basic concept is one which says that the individual, the human species, is important to the causative force. Symbiotic panentheism says that the causative force created each of us for a reason, and we are important to the causative force, just as the causative force is important to us. We, as individuals, have a function. We are a necessity to what lies beyond our reality, our universe. We contribute something to the causative force that the causative force cannot accomplish in the state of being omnipotent or all-powerful, omnipresent, all-present, omniscient, all-knowing. Being everywhere, knowing everything, and being all-powerful prevents the causative force from growing and thus limits the causative force to a state of permanent equilibrium. And science says this is an unnatural state. Why do we keep science, philosophy, and religion apart? Most of us have primary interests in one or the other. Each area of study simply looks at the other as infringing upon its turf and questioning its authority. The struggle between the academic areas of philosophy, religion, and science is actually nothing than a power struggle. Each area wants to maintain its influence over what it believes to be its constituents. We, as observers and participants, cheer for one another or other depending upon our primary interests. What is important, and why is it important to fuse the three? Fusing the three could give us a complete picture of where we are, what we are, and why we exist. Why are science, religion, and philosophy so distrusting and confrontational of each other? None of the three understand they are not entities unto themselves. Science, religion, and philosophy do not understand that they are companions of souls. They do not understand they exist for purposes, for our purposes, not their own. They do not understand they are intended to help us understand our journey through reality, to assist us in accomplishing our purpose. Without us, science, religion, and philosophy would cease to exist in terms of our awareness.